Hello, I'm Qsuite and welcome back to another second channel video. So you might have noticed how over the last 6 months, most things have gone back to normal. I mean, most things. But one of the things that hasn't for me is international travel. I love traveling, I used to do it a lot, but to be responsible over the last 6 months, I haven't done so. But for semi-personal reasons, I need to be in the United States, and because there is currently a ban on UK citizens entering if they've been via the UK or Europe, I have to spend 2 weeks outside of Europe, taking a much more roundabout route to get there, which is a very logical policy, by the way, because one, these infection rates show that the UK is really where the virus is incubating, and two, because taking lots more travel to get to the US is a very safe way to do it. Regardless though, I'm heading to the United States, and I figured I'd bring you the journey to see how things have changed during Corona time. It's also been 6 months since I flew, so things will be interesting, huh? So this is the 46th country I'm visiting, but it's also the first country I've ever brought a checked bag to. And it's because I'm leaving for 3 months, but it still seems so ludicrously sized. Like, I'm just not used to bags this big. Like, look at that. Barely even fits between the barriers. Anyway, this is only notable to me, but I wanted to mention it anyway. I'd heard it was really busy, but
it's really busy. Can you see all of the people?
I guess it's just such a big airport, it can never look too busy, which is always a good sign. It was surprisingly busy to get checked in. I've seen lots of awful pictures, so I'm glad it was only a little bit of a wait. A lot of people question, like, I don't get it, why airlines are so unbusy, but why is it that they're so crowded? And it's because they cut capacity and they're only trying to do the things that are most profitable, because airlines only make profit when they're like 90% filled. And it's the same with airports and all the check-in gates and stuff. Very interesting to see it playing out in real time though. Anyway, let's get for security. So if change 1 was the weird amount of business, change 2 is the fact that for the first time in the UK ever, they asked me to take off my shoes at security, which means that, as we all know, COVID is making the world a more dangerous place, and we've got to avoid it by removing our shoes. Like, it's a dumb extra layer of security theatre. That actually makes sense, apparently, in America, because there was a shoe bomber once or something like that. But, okay, there's a change. We get to lose a little bit of our, security-based freedom, which is always a good sign, right? But yeah, otherwise, things are semi-normal. There are shops open mostly. So the third change is actually a positive one. So because I used to fly a lot, I have access to a lounge, very nice thing, less busy than normal, but also because of, I guess, virus something buffet, now everything is table service based on your phone. Isn't that delightful? I can just order a club breakfast roll to my table. This is the future. I've got to admit, I don't like someone judging me if I order tequila at 9:30 AM though. This is the real problem with this system. But yeah, you can do a surprising amount just to get it delivered straight to you. Another improvement is you don't spend forever in the jet bridge just waiting to go on the plane, just straight in there for social distancing reasons. I love social distancing. I know pretty much everyone has the observation that planes are extra full right now, but in reality they're the same amount of full, sometimes a little less, but it just feels so much more because you realise how tight you are with other strangers. Again, in the times of social distancing, the one place where you can't social distance always just looks worse. But it's just the same as it's always been. Slightly lighter in my case, even though it looks full. Another change that I would definitely argue is an improvement is the fact that instead of having the current, the former buy on board menu, you now just get a few snacks handed out. You get a little ginger cookie, you get a bag of crisps, and you get a little water bottle. Sometimes it's chocolate actually. Oh, they vary, isn't that cute? But yeah, basically this is arguably an improvement because instead of no free food, you now get free food. But I guess the downside is no chosen drink. But again, it's changed, in my opinion, for the better. You also get some sanitizing stuff, if that's your thing. But yeah, flight's slightly nicer, even if slightly fuller. So I'll spare you the details of everything that I'm doing here in Turkey, but I will just mention something that's really cool when you're visiting a transcontinental city is the fact that you can literally go across continents. Right now I'm in Europe, that's where I'm staying, in Istanbul. That's where most people choose to stay in Istanbul, that's where most of the city is, but if I hop on a ferry, I can actually go to Asia within the same city. So let's do that now and show you what that looks like. So I'm on a boat, it's going to take about 10 minutes to cross between Europe, which is behind me right now, and Asia, which is behind me over there. This is, again, it's my mind-blowing to see, first of all, how wide this is. On a map, you see it's got a straight, and you're like, well, it can't be too big that combines the city. No, it's a pretty huge gap. And the other thing that's kind of staggering about this journey between Europe and Asia is the fact that it costs 1.5 Turkish lira. To put that in your current exchange rates right now, it's something like 20 US cents. It is insanely cheap, and it's a beautiful boat ride. I mean, again, you can really see the beauty of this city on a little boat ride, and I love that. So yeah, right now I'm somewhere straddling the waters between Europe and Asia, and this is one of the very few cities where you can take public transport across continents for 20 cents. So yeah, that's a fun thing about Turkey. When I get back to you in 2 weeks, after I've served my mandatory time outside of Europe and outside of the UK, so that we can get over to the United States. 2 weeks have passed and I find myself back at Istanbul's new airport, and fortunately, if you're the sort of person who's really big on your social distance, you worry about airports, don't worry, this one has enough space if you look around. It is insane, the size of this airport. It is supposedly going to be the biggest in the world by volume of passengers going through, and you can tell that they prepared for that eventuality. Anyway, so I have to get to America now, and now that I've spent my 2 weeks outside of the 4 designated zones, and the interesting thing about this is I have to get to America without going via any of those countries. I can't touch Brazil, I can't touch Europe, I can't touch the UK or Ireland, which means I had to either take a direct flight from here in Turkey, which was crazy expensive, or again, even more inefficiently, I had to route via the Middle East, which means I'm actually flying with Qatar Airlines. Qatar Airways is actually my favorite airline in the entire world, so you know, not everything's going so bad on this thing. And honestly, I've been looking forward to this journey for a while. It's my first journey on a real long-haul flight in the last 6 months or something, and I know it's weird to be excited about flying, but it's my hobby. I don't criticize your hobbies. It's just so weird to be at an airport that was built literally months ago, because everything is so brand new, and I kind of love that. It's a fun reminder that everything we have, you know, all these airport infrastructures, they don't feel new, they just feel off, and it's like, oh yeah, they probably felt amazing at some point. In 10, 20, 30 years, this will feel like, oh, remember when airports looked like that? And it's that fun thing about progression in fast-moving industries, that even fairly new things feel old, and only the things that are brand new feel new and fresh and exciting and like the future. But I guess the problem with the future is it's a moving target, and the longer you stay in the present, the further away you get from it. Am I the only one who can't breathe with a mask on? And you feel embarrassed to be like, hey, I think breathing's important. And everyone else around you like, no, you're on an escalator by yourself, Andrew. Don't you dare take that mask off. And it's like, but can I not breathe? And the answer is no, you can't breathe, you selfish bastard. Not only does Istanbul's new airport have a pet toilet, but it also has a museum and a spa. And that's not all, let me tell you. I've never seen like a fully fledged clothes store before, but there's one of those here. And not like an airport sized one, but like a full clothes store. That's insane. Also, here's an interesting thing, everything is priced in euros here, despite the fact that we're in Turkey, which has the lira as their currency. I've noticed this, that most airports in countries with weak currencies just switch their prices over to dollars or euros. And it's kind of interesting to show that like the flagship of this country, the flagship of Turkey, a country of its own currency, does not use its own currency when selling you babies' clothing or suitcases or literally anything you can buy at a normal store. Not only is there a Yo Sushi here, but there's an entire food court, including another thing that I've never seen inside of an airport, a Subway. I don't know why that's so wacky to me, but I need to know. That is the most expensive Subway I've ever seen. It was $10 for a foot-long one of the subs, which is insane. And then if you look at the prices for other stuff, it's like extra cheese, $2 extra. It's insane. Also, fun fact, they don't call it a foot-long here. It's the 30 centimeter, which it's hilarious. I mean, like, we use the metric in the UK, but we still call them foot-longs. Nah, not in Turkey. No feet going in sandwiches here. There is a sports pub here too, which first of all, I've never heard the term sports pub. It's always sports bar in America. And second of all, outside of America, I think this is the only sports bar I've ever seen in an airport. And it's a cool looking one too. There's even a terrace around the back. Honestly, this is a pretty dumb place to have a terrace. Pretty dumb view in my opinion, but it is a terrace. See, as I hear back all the things that I've just said, they all sound pretty normal, and they don't really like explain why this is such an impressive airport to me. So I think the best way to explain what makes this airport so different and impressive and shows that it's new and futuristic is just the space. Space is something that is a premium, especially in most major cities where most major airports are. But because this airport is so far out of the city, which sucks on the one hand in terms of like getting to and from it, but in terms of what you can do with the space itself, it is insane. Look down there, for instance. look at the room for activities. You can play hide and seek in this airport and you'd never stop being, I guess you'd never be found is my point. I guess you can't play hide and seek because it's too big. If you want to play hide and seek in an airport, find a smaller one. But my point was meant to be that this airport just has so much space and it's all really nice because it's new. And again, I think that will fade, but my point was just meant to be, there's a cool new airport, I figured I'd show you it. I know what you've all secretly wanted forever is airport reviews of Toy Cat, and today I finally delivered. You're welcome. I'm going to chill for a couple of hours for my flight, and then I'll get back to you when I'm heading towards the Middle East, Doha to be precise. I guess that's obvious if you know Qatar Airlines, but if you don't, Doha, very, 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 very hot city by nature of being basically a desert in the Middle East. But you know, it's a story for another day. Let's head there in a couple of hours though. I'm about to board my first long-haul flight on my favourite airline in about 6 months. First time flying Qatar in about a year. Super hyped for this. Let's go. I've never seen with my own eyes a plane seat this spacious. It is absurd the amount of space you actually have to yourself here. Also, there's a door. There's literally a door on this seat. So I am incredibly fortunate and grateful to be flying what is widely known as the most comfortable and spacious business class seat in the sky today, and even luckier to be sat in 1K. Except, wait a minute, why is my seat behind all of the other seats? Shouldn't it be at the front? Why is the terminal behind me? And the answer to those things is the seat actually faces backwards. It's a really interesting experience for takeoff and landing, but before any of that, let's show you around the seat. There's a giant screen ahead of me, laptop for scale, a giant table that comes out from that, laptop again for scale, and a little storage compartment over here, a bigger storage compartment over here, some hand sanitizer, other health-related necessities here, a remote that doubles as a second screen over here, as well as a charging port, another charging port, and also one for your plug too. This really is one of the largest seats you're going to find in the air, and definitely the largest in business class. And I stayed there for 2 weeks, yeah, so it's been a fun.
Where are you heading to?
America, Los Angeles. Yeah.
It'll be a long flight.
Yeah.
That's okay. Enjoy the flight.
Thank you.
If you need anything, just let me know.
I appreciate it. Thank you. But not only is this the best seat that you can find in the sky in business class, and really arguably one of the best in any class, but also it comes with some of the nicest flight attendants that you'll ever meet. And it's you know, again, like, they are there to like, no, we will make you happy. And then stuff like when you board the plane, you get a drink. There's some lovely mint lemonade. Mint lemonade sounds awful, but it's so tasty. It's so rare you can have a drink that tasty. So I'm now in Qatar. I don't know if you can tell, but the dress code here, a little bit different since the last time I was here. It feels and sounds like I'm putting on like a Darth Vader voice. Like I can't hear the same voice that you guys are hearing right now. Maybe you can't hear it all, I don't know. Face shields are weird. This is my first time wearing one. But you know, and also why do I have a mask on as well? There's so many questions about why this is required, but safety, hygiene, what is breathing anyway? Am I right? I really love Doha Airport. I mean, look at this little intersection right here. It's a famous place with a giant bear that weighs something like 35,000 pounds. It was insanely expensive, and that's the cool thing about the Middle East. They just have so much money, they just do stuff like that. They do stuff like this whole airport. Everything about it's just like, yeah, we kind of felt like that. I like that attitude. Again, I'm a... maybe this is me showing that I like wealth, and I like people doing things a lot. Or maybe this is me being like willing to bend my ideology to fit a giant 35,000 teddy bear, but I really do like this place. And yeah, you can see how most people around are wearing their face shields. I had to take mine off because I literally couldn't see or breathe, and those two things are essential, I would argue. So because of current situation, there's a serious reduction in the number of flights which are available from here to the rest of the world. You know, like flight reductions, don't know if you've heard about that. But it means that the minimum connection I could get, it was, you know, at first it was gonna be 16 hours. Fortunately, it went down to just 8 hours connection here in Doha. So yeah, I'm spending the next 8 hours in this airport. Fortunately, it's a nice one. And fortunately for me, because of the business ticket, I do have access to something I think is kind of special. They bought a Harrods here.
Thank you, sir. No boarding announcements up there.
There's even a WH Smith here. So yeah, lounges in airports are usually just spaces to wait for your flight and, you know, maybe sometimes get some food, sometimes a beverage in between them as well. But this lounge, the Qatar Airways Business Lounge, is one of the more legendary ones in the world. And also, just the way you go past the whole airport on the way up, it's kind of cool. But yeah, this whole airport is very surreal and wacky. And that's where I'm going to be spending the next 8 hours, I guess. So I spent about 4.5 hours working on a Minecraft map release thing that's been going on, and that was pretty cool. But now I've got about 3 hours till my flight, and yeah, I haven't really got any sleep in, any food in, any shower in. So my plan is grab a shower. There should be one around here somewhere, because by the way, I've been the only person in here the whole time. It's been so cool, but I'm gonna grab a shower. I'm gonna maybe get some breakfast. I'm gonna try and wait till the plane, but I'm like hungry, maybe because I've been working 4.5 hours. But yeah, my plan is to grab a shower and then maybe find somewhere to nap. So let's see how successful those two things are. So this is going to be my home for the next 3 hours. Going to take a bit of a nap here. It's worth mentioning because there's a bunch of these in a row. There's been someone with that darn default iPhone alarm, just not picking up their alarm, just not even hearing it. It's been going for like 3 minutes now. At what point do you put someone out of their misery and like beat them to death if their iPhone doesn't stop making that darn default alarm sound that is like given no. I've never owned an iPhone, but I'm like horrified by that noise. Like, oh god, I've got to wake up. And it's like, I don't have to wake up. I don't own an iPhone, but I do need to get to bed. See you in 3 hours for my last flight. Looking forward to some enhanced US security, by the way. Also, you know, it's very bright here. This might be the biggest first world problem, but the walk between where I'm sleeping and the bathroom is really big because the business lounge is just that big. Such a problem. But yeah, sleepy-eyed. Didn't get much rest in, but I am awake. So that's good, I guess. And now after 2 weeks, a flight to the Middle East and an 8-hour layover, I am finally aboard my plane to America. Except because it's direct from here in Doha to LAX, it is a 16-hour flight. It is the 14th longest flight in the world. And yeah, it's very different from my very short Qsuite flight that I was just on. And again, I'm gonna hope it's gonna be a delight, but I can't talk too much about it because American security be a weird thing. I've had like 2 security checks already since entering this country, and I'm looking forward to another when I get there. So I can't talk too much about things until I'm hopefully in the United States when I next get back to you. So here's to the 14th longest flight in the world, and here's to hopefully a happy ending to this whole video. Guess who has 2 thumbs and just went to an immigration detention center for the first time in his life? Yeah, this guy. Guess who's enthusiastic about having spent 3 hours in a room where you're not allowed to use your phone or really do anything besides watch American TV, which has so many ads. But yeah, I got questioned a ridiculous amount about this trip. Lots of different questions, lots of different angles, and it was looking really bad at one point. Like the rate of passing, there was another British dude he had his family here. He was like just trying to text them, they're like no, and then his thing got rejected. He was like full on deported as best I could tell. So it was a really scary situation, but here I am. My flight landed just before 1 p.m. It is now about 5 p.m. so I've missed my connecting flight with Southwest. It's actually funny, when the guy was like, he was going up to the desk, he's like, please just let me text my wife, she's waiting for me and she has no idea where I am, and she's like, no, and I'm like, well, my request to quickly, you know, message Southwest and, you know, get on with the next flight, because if you tell them before your flight, you can get credit towards the next one. You know, I lost my $35, which you could argue is more tragic than having your wife not know where you are for 4 hours and being deported from the country. Who's the real victim here? But no, interesting enough, like, so the guy who questioned a bunch of stuff, one of the things is like, so can you provide proof of your bank accounts? And then for some reason it wasn't working, and it was this whole little thing. I was like, no, the one time my bank account app won't work. But thankfully for me, it did start working in the end. When he looked at the account, he's like, hey man, you should really get into stocks. And I was like, I have some stocks. He's like, you should have bought some Tesla a month ago, right? And I was like, yeah. It was just the dumbest interaction to have while being detained, in my opinion. So I booked a connection to Las Vegas, where I'm going to be spending the next couple of months, and I booked that connection with a 2-hour gap between when I landed. When I got there, I didn't imagine I'd be disappeared for about 4 hours, so you know what, that one's really on me, isn't it? Literally in a place where wasn't even allowed to make a phone call, by the way. Like, you know, you get that right in prison. As part of an ESTA travel waiver, you have to also sign away your rights to even an immigration lawyer. Like, if they say no, you are not allowed to appeal the decision. Like, you just have to go on your flight home, like that British dude in the room did. There are a bunch of crying people in there. It's a sad situation. But I want to like have this as a quick reminder, by the way, because a lot of people always have this thing of like, good, you know, I'm glad you can get into America easy to look at because you're white, and it's like, that's not how this works at all. That's like the number of bad situations I've had, like, again, being disappeared for 4 hours, not being able to text anyone, including perhaps someone that was expecting me on the other end. It's a wild situation. I even want to point out that even though I live in a low coronavirus case country, me living in a white country had to do this 2 week. How long has it been now? I've lost track of time. When did I leave Turkey? Things don't make sense anymore. My point here is just to be like, no, that skin color is not the main determinant in your immigration application. Birth country gives you a advantage, but again, being in a room where things are crazy. You even had to ask and like request specific permission to use the bathroom, and I've been drinking a lot of water because I tried to hydrate on flights. I'm just saying, I had a great time, and I'm not bitter about being detented because now I get to enjoy 2.5 months in America. But I can't actually leave in that time because there's a whole story about that. I'm always amused when I land in Vegas and I see that there's slot machines literally in the baggage carousels area, as well as the departures. But anyway, I'm here now. It took 36 hours to get from Istanbul to here, and on screen right now is the number of hours it took in total. But I'm now in Nevada, where I'll be for the next 2.5-ish months. So look forward to some very different videos on this channel, I guess. For now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, second channel, don't care. Goodbye.